come for me.
Right here. Bitch, I'm from Kentucky, but this ain't no fucking Dixie Chicks. This is not Route 66. She step out, take like 50 flicks. I'm way too selective with the folks that I get mixy with. She said that's a lie, boy, you a thot. Just left out the city, it was high. Think they fucking with me, but they not. I just cannot stop, I'm about to buy my bro a drop. She came to kick it with her friends, they taking shots. I'm a hot shot. Hey, met her at the club and I took her to the casa. Get bread nonstop, know my name, ring a bell like Raja. From the city like Rondo Rajan, but I'm from the white side like Hassan. Yo, way too fly, but I'm not trying. Had y'all's fun, but it's my time. Chain go bling, I ain't talking about hotline. Young and I got time, but I finally got one, it's about time. Make the whole city shine every time that I shine. Let me know now if you're not down, cause you left and you're not round. Need a julep in a hot brown, go ahead, let that top down. Bitch, I'm from Kentucky, but this ain't no fucking Dixie Chicks. This is not Route 66. She step out, take like 50 flicks. I'm way too selective with the folks that I get mixy with. She said that's a lie, boy, you a thot. Just left out the city, it was high. Think they fucking with me, but they not. I just cannot stop, I'm about to buy my bro a drop. She came to kick it with her friends, they taking shots.
Yeah, white gold over my chrome heart, 10 been sloppy, I ain't got no card, I don't feel nothing for the most part. Fat boy dry this bitch.
Alrighty, welcome to the Death Hour. I am a new host, Randy. Today we are brought to you by our sponsors, Deathmatch Worldwide, Indie Views, Photography, Crystal's OnlyFans, a couple other shout-outs. Alright. Sean, can you hear me, bud?
Yes, sir, I can. What's up, Randy? How you doing, brother?
What's going on, man? My phone is froze, so I can't see the screen. I don't understand what's going on. I'm trying to bring it up on.
Yeah, I can hear you and see you fine.
All right, cool. So, man, you've wrestled or ref a lot of places. IWA Mid South, Black Label Pro, Glory Pro, NHB, GCW, Blackcraft, and way too many more. I can't think of all of them. But
Yeah, man.
how's it like, man? How's it like refing?
Man, to be completely honest, it's a blast. I love my role, and I am grateful to be a part of some really, really dope companies. So, you know, I'm like in the short span that I've been doing this, I've been a part of some crazy moments, some crazy matches. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, for sure.
it's incredible. Like, especially like in the time period that I feel like I got in, because I got in and really started taking it serious about 2017. But and there Gary goes already. Shut up, Gary. But when I started going about 2017, really hard was when the business of pro wrestling really started to pick up. And you know, now it's a really good time to be a pro wrestling fan. I mean, hell, especially on Wednesday nights. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So,
So I think we've seen a little video of you singing that a lot of people who know you know that you're all about the music, man.
for
You
sure.
went to school for performing arts. You opened for, or your buddy opened. You were the hype man for what? Jelly Roll, Lil White, Project Pat, Silk the Shocker.
Yeah.
How's it like? How was it, man? Tell us about that experience.
Okay. Yeah, man. So I tell people that was kind of a past life of mine. Yeah. So back in high school, even before high school, I used to sing in the Louisville Youth Choir. I used to, sing in different choirs. I went to a youth performing arts school. Or I went to the youth performing arts school here in Louisville, Kentucky. And so, that's kind of like that was my stick before the wrestling stuff really started to pick up. And I had got linked up with some guys in high school. I used to sing in an R&B group called the Gentlemen. I was the only white dude in the group, so they used to call me the white boy. And that's kind of where, like back in the day, I used to call myself White Boy Sean P, because in a lot of circles, I was the only white dude. And then
Yeah.
and then not only that, but I would hop up on stage and and they would be thinking I'm getting ready to rap or something, and I'd bust out some Luther Vandross, you know what I mean, or something crazy, and or some Boys to Men, or whatever.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so, and then eventually I started writing, and linking up with different rappers over in Louisville, man. Still working with my guys and the gentlemen. We all three ended up doing our own solo stuff. So, but yeah, and then that actually at one point I ended up working. That was where I kind of got in the wrestling business, and kind of started doing it with a company called UWA in Louisville, and then they closed down. That was when I got the opportunity to open up for artists like Project Pat and guys like Lil White and Jelly Roll, and all these different dudes that I opened for.
yeah.
Well, not me. Like you said, it was my buddy. I got to shout out my guy Eliezer Zev. He's one of my favorite rappers, man. This dude is so dope.
Hey, man, I even as hype, man, I still consider that y'all open for him.
For sure, yeah. It was. I mean, it was. We were an act, and we had a dope little act. You know what I'm saying? And Zev, to his credit, man, as dope as a rapper and lyricist as he is, he's kind of reserved when it comes to being on stage, and I'm a little bit more, I guess, out there. And not only
Yeah,
he would do stuff that was kind of oriented towards like R&B also, and so I could sing and do some stuff over top of and stuff. So yeah, we did some pretty cool stuff, and then that, towards he ended up having a baby, and he was starting to get real busy with his job, and whenever I got linked up with IWA Mid South. Right, Big B. Yeah, national anthem is not my forte. Don't ask me to sing the national anthem because I not want trust. I've been asked.
So what got you? You said you started to take refereeing a little bit more serious. What made you take it serious? Because I mean, you're one of, in my opinion, you're one of the best. You're my favorite refs.
Thanks.
So what made you take it for real?
Okay, yeah. So the first company that I worked for, I wasn't really okay, let me go all the way back actually. So I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville, Kentucky is, known as being a mecca across the United States for professional wrestling, whether it be, the old Memphis days,
Yeah,
SWA or OVW, or even IWA. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's known for wrestling in this area. And so growing up, I used to pop in and out of different OVW shows. So I got to see, Batista and John Cena as they were coming up, and guys like I didn't get to go like religiously like some guys that I know in this area, man. And I'm jealous.
yeah.
I wish I could have, but and I was a little bit too young to go to the USWA shows. So, but so I ended up I would pop in and out, and then I ended up linking up through my cousin wrestled for this company called it was UWA Underground Wrestling Association or something, and they were more like entry level type promotion.
I want to say I went to one show.
You could have.
Jack was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Cac is actually married to my cousin.
Oh, okay.
So shout out to Cac. That's who actually got me
For
in.
sure, for sure.
So Cac got me in, man, and it was literally a case of right place, right time. They were doing a battle royal on a show, and somebody was like, hey, we need another ref to, for the aesthetic, to make everything look good, and and so they threw me a shirt, and I was like, cool, all right. And then a few shows that went by, probably actually about a month it went by, and I was working security, wearing the black shirt, acting all big and bad as security, and I kept bugging them, and I was like, bro, let me do something, please, and because I was a little bit too old to start training to wrestle, I felt like personally, but and so I was like, let me do something. So finally, he gave me a match of some sort, and I was like, okay, cool, and from there, it was pretty much off to the races. Going back to the original question as far as taking a series or whatever. So, but at the time, a lot of those guys didn't work anywhere else as far as independent wrestling goes. So I wasn't really like, exposed to anything. I knew a little about IWA Mid South, but you know, some of the guys there didn't really talk good about IWA, and
Yeah.
me being stupid, I was just like, oh, okay, well, I'll just kind of stick to here, you know what I'm saying, like, and do my thing over here. And however, the whole entire time, this is kind of crazy. The whole time that I was doing the music, I mean the UWA, and I was still dabbling in music, there was a guy named Cam Adams who I became really good friends with on the music scene in Louisville, and he kept telling me, yo, man, you need to go hit up IWA Mid South. You need to go hit up IWA Mid South if you want to take this serious. And that was 3 years before I ever stepped foot in the IWA Mid South door. And so, you know, Cam, shout out to that guy. He now runs Paradigm Pro Wrestling. And he is a big reason why I'm at IWA Mid South. So yeah. Anyway, going back to my story, IWA closed down. UWA closed down. Went back to doing my music. You know, did the whole Jelly Roll and you know Lil White and Shook the Shaka and all these opportunities in like a year span of time, and then went to a random birthday show at the arena, and I met a guy named Biff, and Biff was running the show at the time. And he liked my reffing abilities, even though at that time I was terrible, bro. Like you think I'm good now?
I remember early Sean.
Man,
I remember early Sean.
I watch stuff. I watch stuff back now, and I cringe all the time. But anyway, so Biff got me started, and I was doing some stuff on some Sundays, and then that led to guys like Aiden Blackheart and Simon Says. They were like, "Hey, man, they need a ref over at IWA," and I popped into IWA, and I feel like that's what really made me start taking it serious. Well, I had a conversation with a guy named Max Recon. Shout out to my guy, AJ Kissinger, Max Recon, whatever you want to call him. And I had a conversation with him at that birthday show that I worked. And he was the one who was like, yo, man, there's not at that time, there wasn't a whole lot of refs that really took it like serious. You know what I'm saying? There was a few guys up on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't really a whole lot of guys in the Midwest. Well,
especially in this area.
Exactly. This area who really like traveled and took it serious. And that conversation really kind of motivated me. That's what led to me going to IWA. And then IWA led to Black Label Pro, which led to VOW, which led to Black Craft, but you know, everything.
Snowball.
Like snowball effect. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So what was your first? Did you watch deathmatch before you started reffing for IWA, or do you know what death matches were?
No, not really at
Or
all.
they just throw you to the wolves and
literally, yeah, from day one. Yeah, first day there, I showed up, and the main event at the time, Aiden and John Wayne Murdoch were beating the crap out of each other in a blood feud, literally every week. And I'm not 100% sure. I think my first show was either like a no barbed wire or like a swing for the fences or something, because I remember we made a barbed wire baseball bat that got used for about 2 years. I think it's still somewhere. but
it was you and Murdoch made that bat, wasn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it was me, Murdoch, and Aiden before the show. Yeah. So, yeah, man. Yeah, it was literally like you said, thrown to the wolves. I wouldn't have it any other way. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
because
yeah.
I feel like I would have kind of psyched myself out if it had been, the opposite. You know what I'm saying? So,
what was your reaction seeing these crazy motherfuckers beat each other with shit?
Yeah, well, what I was gonna say, man, you literally was in my head. I have kind of a weak stomach, to be completely honest. Like there's been times, man, where somebody bit like a big fat loogie and it'll make my stomach turn. You know what I'm saying? So, so I was a little nervous going into it, as far as like, okay, my thought process was just like, don't get hurt and don't throw up. You know what I'm saying? Like, because being there with glass and stuff, and they're swinging it around and stuff gets crazy. I get a little cut up on my arms, right here and stuff. So
yeah,
which I mean, it's part of the job, but
no, for sure.
But yeah, like literally, my first thought process was just, please don't throw up and please don't get hurt. So now it's completely different, man. Like I keep my head on a swivel practically. I feel like, and
Oh
I'm not
yeah, man.
myself or my own safety. You know what I'm saying? But yeah,
I know you're all about the boys, man. That's one of the things that one of the reasons why I consider you the best. You're always picking up, just always making sure the ring's good for the guys.
absolutely, man. Yeah, I don't want them bumping down in some crazy, U-shaped,
Oh yeah, yeah.
all
So,
that. And it could really mess somebody up. I'm trying to keep everybody safe. So
so you worked Leo and ACH at the collective this year.
yeah, man. That's
Yeah,
sure.
that was
That was that.
fire.
I've had a bunch of these in 2020, but that was a pinch me moment that I had no right to be in that situation. But once I was in that situation, it was like I'm gonna make the best of it. You know what I mean? So yeah, there it is.
Yeah. I still unfortunately can't see the screen. I can't see the chat. I'm frozen. Everybody's in the same spot. So,
uh,
but
yeah, they're showing the Leo and ACH clip right now.
if you see any of the fan questions, man, interrupt me, jump in, because like I said, I can't see anything where
Okay,
I'd get to them.
I got you. Yeah. So Crystal, she asked my favorite match that I've ever officiated. Um, Man, that's like asking me my favorite song. You know what I mean? For a while, I used to tell people that my favorite match was Matt Riddle versus Mance Warner that I'd ever refed, which that was like 2018 Heartbreak, I believe, for IWA Mid South. Um, but then at the same time, like there's matches that happened last year that was like some of my favorite moments of my career. Like for instance, there was a match that I ref that was just a match that happened at IWA. It was Sage Phillips against Big Gnarls Garvin, and both those guys were two guys that I started at UWA with. So like that meant that match just meant you know
Yeah.
a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
Just
yeah.
for where those guys are, their career, and also where they're going to go even further. And I've, Big Beef, I've literally known him since day one. Sage is another guy that, he was at UWA with me back in the day, and then he ended up going to IWA shortly after and getting, now he's one of the best technical wrestlers in the country. So, but yeah, so yeah, I'd probably, my answer to that for now is Matt Riddle versus Mance Warner. But then, like I said, I'll have matches. Leo and ACH. That was an incredible match. And Fight Forever. The match between Dark Sheik and Dark Sheik and Devon Monroe. Like that match was just incredible. Or even like Alley Cat and Willow or
That
Joey,
I tuned into that match a little bit. That match was a good match.
Joey Janela and Everett Connors. Like that was amazing. So
Yeah.
or I could even go, Oren and John Wayne Murdoch at No Bar just because like that whole weekend was just a dream to be a part of. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh yeah.
I
So
had so many different favorite moments of my career in 2020, and that's like a side comment real quick. A lot of people say that 2020 was their worst year ever. Professionally, for me, I feel like it was one of my best. Maybe
I
not
I
necessarily
think it was
my personal life.
great for a lot of people in the like professional in their professional life within the indie wrestling promote or scene.
Yeah, man, there was a lot of great stuff going on, and I mean, there. Don't get me wrong, there was a short time period where stuff shut down for me too. Uh,
Yeah.
I was still going to my shoot job every day, and it was like, you know, clocking in and out, and then on the weekends I was home. I started missing wrestling. Like it was terrible, and but I started missing wrestling to the point where I couldn't even watch it. But then
Oh
I
dang.
IWA came back, and then it was GCW right after that, and it was like things were rolling to the races for me. So yeah,
One one
Chris
thing you were talking about didn't mean to cut you off.
not,
Um you were talking about like, crazy moments in your career, and one thing about working with IWA Mid South is you never know who the hell they're gonna bring in, when they're gonna bring them in. Uh you have to Penta and Shane Mercer at IWA.
that's right, man.
What? I didn't even know about this match. I didn't know Penta was even around or was around here.
Yeah, that it was kind of crazy how that happened. There was a show that actually was supposed to happen in Indianapolis that same match was actually booked on, and I think that show got canceled like day of or maybe day before or something, and so and this is where I tell people like Ian's phone book is untouchable, man. Like when they say you never know who could show up at IWA Mid South, that's real. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
you know I've worked with Al Snow because of IWA Mid South. I've worked with Billy Gunn because of IWA Mid South. I've worked with Vampiro because of IWA Mid South. All these guys that I've watched on TV. You know what I mean? Because you know Ian's phone book is just that Pentagon Jr.
Yeah.
And that was crazy in itself, just because you know I didn't really know much about Penta, but I became a really big Lucha Underground fan, and so I I got caught up. Like so after I found out about IWA Mid South, and really when I started working for IWA Mid South, I really didn't know much about IWA's history or all that. So I had to smarten myself up, and boy did I feel stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, it was like opening Pandora's box. I imagine.
and
Just
I still to this day will go back and still try and find old stuff that I'm just like, this happened at IWA. Like, oh my god, like you know what I mean? Uh,
IWA was the first independent wrestling show I ever went to. It was in Sellersburg, Indiana,
yeah,
and I didn't know what a death match was, and it was Mickey. The main event was Mickey Knuckles and Ian Rotten versus Insane Lane and I want to say Freak Show, like no world barbed wire, 400 tubes.
right.
It was. I was terrified. Mickey Knuckles became my favorite almost immediately, but yeah, IWA man, it just
What I was saying, his phone book is just ridiculous. And so the somebody that the show got canceled. Ian had called I don't even know. I remember who he called, but I can't remember the top. He made one phone call, who made another phone call, who made another phone call, got
yeah.
on the phone, and he was at IWA. It was literally in a day's time that happened, that got set up. Uh, and then a lot of the people that were actually on that show, Ian had also let work on that show. That was one of the first IWA shows that me and Max Recon had got to work together. And like that's a cool thing is working with working at as many promotions as I can with Max Recon, because I feel like that's somebody who changed my mentality in this game a lot, and a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
any chance that I get to be on the show with him, it's always a good time. So we got a question from Rick Walden. Rick said, "What is your biggest accomplishment in wrestling to date? Also, what is your dream match you could ref anywhere or any promotion?" Um, so my biggest accomplishment in wrestling to date, um, man, that's tough. I would probably say my biggest accomplishment to date is having people who look up to me, who it's not even any like match or company that I've worked. It's having people who look up to me and who consider me kind of like a big brother type, I guess whatever. Because one of my big things is leaving the business. You hear this a lot, is leaving the business just like how you found it. And AJ Kister, I had said it riding with me. Hey, I mean, I got to do what I got to do. But yeah, Recon definitely needs to be on the show. But shoot, what was I talking about? See,
Your
Recon.
greatest accomplishments and
That's
your
right. Yeah,
dream match, dream promotion.
that's right. So I got to shout out my guy Aaron Grider, and then also guys that who kind of had came in a little bit after me, and also I kind of somewhat took under my wing guys like, as much as I hate them, I love to hate them. And then my guy Daniel Spencer, we call ourselves the RWO.
RWO,
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah, those are my guys. You know, dudes like that I've been able to, you know, to kind of, you know, give advice to. They've helped me out. You know what I'm saying? Daniel's passed me up. The dude works for Impact. Like, how
Yeah.
incredible is that, man? It's so cool. So yeah, like that's probably my biggest accomplishment. My dream match in any promotion that I could ever ref, it would involve Too Cold Scorpio for sure. And I don't know, man. Too Cold Scorpio, and we'll go Too Cold Scorpio and Mance Warner, because Mance Warner's my favorite wrestler. So
There we go.
and Mance Warner, and like my favorite promotion that I'm watching right now is probably AEW. So that would be a blast to get on there. But you know, my biggest goal is just to make this a full-time job. So whatever company ends up picking me up, whether it be AEW, WWE, MLW, Impact, that helps me make this a full-time job, you know, much love to them. So we got a question from Blake. You've accomplished everything on the indies. What's the next step for you? Dreams of getting a contract? Yeah, exactly. That's what I was just saying. My ultimate goal is just to make this a full-time job, however I can, whether it be working for WWE or AEW. I feel like I haven't accomplished everything that I've wanted to on the indies. I still feel like there's a lot of stuff that I still have left to do. But you know, I appreciate I feel like it's a compliment. So.
Oh yeah. So you did like this crazy 6-man stunner on a Black Label Pro.
That's right, man. Yeah.
That once again, that was another spot I didn't see until it was sent to me, but it was.
Yeah, they're showing it right now. Yeah. Yeah, man.
That's your first time or was that your only time doing something like that? Have you been?
Nah.
You gotta put your authority down with the stripes. So
Right. Well, that's actually that exact sequence, that exact spot, I guess you can call it. That was not my first time doing that. And the common denominator in the first time that I did that, the first time I did it was at a parent show. It might have still been Prodigy at that time, but it was a scramble that had Zachary Wentz in it, and then this was a 4-way that also had Zachary Wentz in it. So so when Zach found out that I was his ref, he goes, "Bro, we're gonna do that spot," and I was like, "All right, I'm down, cool." And I already knew what he was talking about. And then it was funny because when I finally started working for GCW somewhat regularly, Zach was on a show there, and it was one of the indie shows in 2020, and he was, I was reffing the scramble that he was in, and we were super close to doing it, and we almost ended up doing it again, but it didn't happen. So, but now, yeah, every now and then, I have to show my authority a little bit, extra, and I've had to cutter guys before, I've had to push guys, and stuff, put them over. And then, I get knocked out all the time. So like, anytime anybody's like, yo, you feel like getting bumped? I'm like, I guess let's do it. I'm always game for whatever, man. I love this business, and I have so much fun doing it. So
one of the first IWA shows that I came back to recently in 2020 was very important and to a lot of people was Tremont's farewell. So with Murdoch, how was it like saying goodbye to Tremont at IWA?
Man, so I had worked with Tremont a handful of times, and every time I saw him, he's a big IWA guy, and that's why on his farewell tour, IWA stops. You know what I mean? And so, and like, there was trying to think of what match it was. I want to say we were at VOW one time, and he I can't even remember the match. I want to say it was Orrin Veit, him and Orrin Veit, and little behind baseball. Orrin actually didn't know he was going over in that match, and Tremont had told me that, and he got really excited because he was like, that's Ian's way, brother. You know what I mean? Like, that's the IWA way. And so, and it was funny because I believe John Gray was the ref. So, and it was like, IWA or whatever. It was just kind of a little funny moment. So, and I've just always remembered Tremont being a real big IWA guy and loving IWA, and IWA is my home. So, I got to work with him a couple times at VOW, and then didn't really get to work with Tremont like much more than that. However, he was another one that I had to, smart myself up to and go back and look at some old stuff, you know what I mean? And really see, his contributions and stuff. And Tremont's a legend, man. And so for me to be a part of that match, and then not only that, but the match was a banger. They had
that match was killer.
The chairs getting thrown in the ring, and I thought I was getting knocked out at one point. Like, that was a little wild. So being a part of that match, it was awesome. I was really glad I felt privileged to be a part of that. So, and then also too, not only that, but it's really cool to be able to see the other matches, because that's one of the dope things about right now at the time at this time is so many different ways to watch. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that I was able to watch him and Ricky, even though it wasn't anywhere in my area, I was able to watch it live. You know what I'm saying? It was pretty cool. So
talk about that match for a moment.
Yeah, B says that the scramble that Zach first hit me with that stunner spot, that where we all get choked into a spunner. Big B, he said Zach, Trey, Sage Kanan, Ace Perry, and Caden Sade. It was a Prodigy. But yeah, it was a Prodigy. Yeah, thank you, B. So, in case you want to go watch that match back, it's on IWTV.
Darkest Timeline, Black Label Pro.
Yeah, and then that was the one that we just shown. Yep. So,
what's the craziest spot you've been in? Like, you've been involved with?
Well,
I know the Bloodshed Destroyer was crazy.
I'm thinking right now off the top of my head, like out of my gut, it's probably the Destroyer off the top of the Bloodshed. But then there's been others, like anything with fire, I think is quite crazy. And there was fire involved in that Destroyer, so that's why it probably definitely has to be that. But like there was one that I was thinking. One of my favorite death matches is a match that isn't really death match guys. Isaiah and Shane Mercer against each other at IWA Mid-South. It was a no-rope barbed wire. And it's on IWTV, I'm pretty sure. It's the last battle of Memphis, what the show's called. Isaiah did a swanton off the top of a ladder with a flaming chair onto Shane. And
I remember hearing about this.
Dude, it's a crazy, crazy match. They go like almost 40 minutes. I want to say it might have been longer than 40 minutes. They went hard. And that's probably one of my favorite death matches. Like, I don't know if that question's came out, but that's probably one of my favorite death matches so far, just because like those guys mean a lot to me. Both those guys are like mentors to me. And then also too, that match was just crazy incredible. Hold on. We got a match from Blake. We got a question from Blake. What do you think about refs that don't smack the mat in death matches? Are there? I do.
Man, I listened to a podcast and they were talking about a referee was carrying a bucket with him, and anytime a pinfall would happen, he'd lay the bucket down and smack the bucket.
Oh man, wow. Okay, yeah. No, that's not my cup of tea. Hey, but hold on, man. I will say though that I am a wuss compared to John Gray.
Oh yeah.
I do got to shout John Gray out because that man will he does not wear gloves, and he will more or less shame you if you do. At least me, he does. And it's probably just because he likes me and he likes to mess with me. But yeah, I have to have gloves on, man. At least gloves, like because like this part of my arm right here gets cut up enough just from slamming down, but at least the gloves, man. And John, he gives no F's. He goes out there without gloves, and I'm just like, you go, buddy. That's all you, dog. So
Yeah, Blake and I were just talking about that the other day. How Sean Gray don't wear gloves.
it's crazy, man. It's crazy. I don't get it, but maybe he's got tough skin. He must do something, because I don't know. I work in wood in my shoot job. You know what I'm saying? So my hands are quite tough. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I don't know. Hey, kudos to
Hey,
you.
you're the only person I know their shoot job will donate weapons to take to
Bro,
shows.
it's real, man. Yo, and I like it's so dope because it's really, really dope when you have a shoot job that is supportive of your dream job. You know what I mean? Because
Trust me, yeah. I have to take vacation days to go to shows.
dog, well, and so because the place that I worked at before, that I worked at for about 5 years or so, 5, 6 years,
Hmm.
they really weren't supportive of it at all, and it was like pulling teeth to try and take off for just a Saturday. You know what I'm saying? Sometime.
Yeah, I had a cousin who worked there who worked with you, and I remember him telling me that it just getting off was a pain.
Well, that was Dallas Group, right? You're talking about Dallas Group.
I don't know. It was Wesley on a machine. Is what you is
Yeah,
my cousin saying. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm talking about even the job that I had after that, because
Oh.
so that factory job that I was working at, I was doing music, and that was tough because we would switch shifts every 9 weeks, and that was terrible. But um, but yeah, and then once I ended up the job that I was talking about, that I worked 5 years at or whatever, when I was really starting to pick up on the wrestling stuff, it was like pulling teeth to try and get off with them. The job that I have now that started in January 2020, man, dude, they are so supportive. I did tell them, I made sure from the interview from jump, I was like, yo, I have another job. You know what I'm saying? I consider wrestling another job.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
I do it like it's another job. I might not get compensated like it's a full-time job, but I do work it full time. You know what I'm saying? And so that I feel like had a lot to do with it as far as how they treat it. You know what I'm saying? Also, too, they see how much I'm working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's why like it was really easy for me to be able to get off to work the first No Holds Bar that I did, which was No Holds Bar 6, because it was a matter of I was at the GCW show, Chris Levin, which I got to shout that guy out, Chris Levin. He's a phenomenal ref, and then also he helped me so much and put me into really great opportunities, and I love that dude. But Chris Levin, he actually ended up at the GCW show in Indianapolis. He was like, "Hey man, are you available this weekend? Like literally the next weekend?" He was like, "I can't be there, ref." Like, I would have to get off from my shoot job, so but I'm pretty sure that I can. Yes. So, and then sure enough, once I went in on Monday, I was just like, "Hey, boss, is it cool?" And they were like, "Absolutely, go ahead." And then, the cool part is once I get home and I'm scrolling Twitter and the IWTV gifs and all the gifers and stuff, and
Oh yeah.
I can show people at work like, "Hey, this is what I did this weekend." You know what I mean? And they're like, "Oh my god!" But yeah, it's even got to the point now where, like you said, they've donated light tubes. Um, they've donated doors. The doors that were used at Paulcade last year, that was from my work. So, yeah, man, my shoot job. Hey, I'm pretty fortunate. It's not the greatest job in the world, and it's pretty boring. But like I said, I put in headphones all day and just listen to a wrestling podcast because I feel like wrestling podcasts are like free sympathy. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what I do at work.
So I listen to podcasts all day and cut wood and go home and then wait till Thursday to get here.
So working at all these promotions, you've obviously jumped in the car, had some road trips. What is a favorite or funny or craziest road trip story?
Oh man, yeah.
And you ain't got to drop no names or nothing like that, just in case.
Oh no, we keep it at 100 up here. I'll drop names. I don't care. So craziest road trip story. To be honest, man, nothing's really gotten too crazy. There was one time me and Myron Reed were on our way to a booking, and the car. What happened? The tire was falling off of the car. He was, I think, like he had lost a bearing on his tire or something, and the tire was literally starting to fall off the car an hour outside of Louisville, and we ended up deciding that we weren't going to make that booking. So that was a Glory Pro booking. So that was kind of scary.
You got any funny moments on the road?
I got plenty of funny moments, man. Ride with Shane Mercer in a car, and it's gonna be hilarious because he's gonna say something that's just gonna make you feel awkward as hell. Because Shane is just a very awkward person. Love that guy, but let's see. What else? Some of my favorite people to ride with. I just had a road trip this past weekend that was a lot of fun. It was me, Calvin Tankman, and Levi Everett. That was, man, I love those. But yeah, I've been a part of some really, really cool, carloads. I feel like just because like I don't have a reliable car to get me from Louisville to out of town. However, I love to travel. And I love the camaraderie of the car trips and the road trips and stuff. And so yeah, man, that's why I love hopping in the car any chance that I can. Going to the Resistance Deathmatch tournament. That was really crazy. I rode with Aiden Blackheart and Pondo, who is notorious for car troubles on the road. I'm talking about like this man has the worst luck with the cars on the road and taking road trips. And they had a tire blew. Pondo, it was Pondo and Nemo, and Sabrina, I believe, and they were on their way to the Resistance Death 2, and also the other tournament that happened that weekend, the all men tournament. It was the day of the men's tournament. They had the men's tournament first and the women's tournament second. Me and Aiden Blackheart were slightly behind Pondo, who I think they'd already had car trouble going out there. So this is their second breakdown that they ended up having on this road trip. We had just so happened to be coming behind them. So we pull up the side of the road. Pondo, they ran to go get a new tire. I hung out with the girls just to make sure, everybody was safe. And then, they ended up getting back. We got to the Resistance tournament literally during it was in the middle of the second match, and me and Pondo run to the back, and I'm throwing my gear on while I'm literally running in the back, and Slack, I don't know what he had done. He was in the first match, and this dude is just squirting blood, and I'm just like, Slack, you good, bro? Yeah, man. Cool. And so that was pretty crazy. It wasn't like too, wild. It was just crazy just because I hate, running
late, being rushed.
Running late, being rushed, being behind. I hate that, man. And so it was really like, I had to run in, get my stuff on, figure out what I was doing, what was going on, if anybody needed anything. And okay, we're already in the middle of the show up at that point. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So question from the Murder Death Kill Club: did John Gray teach you a lot? Absolutely, man. John Gray is another guy that I consider a mentor. When I came into IWA, John Gray was at IWA. He was, an IWA guy at the time, and a lot of people still consider him an IWA guy. He ended up doing a lot of work with GCW and stuff the last few years. But as far as just being a good deathmatch referee, and also pointers on being a good ref in general, but just it is as far as being a good deathmatch referee, I definitely owe a lot of that to John Gray for sure. And then also too, I've taken a couple road trips with John Gray. He's man, that guy. He's a character, and I love riding with John. But yeah. Shout out to John Gray.
Now you say like deathmatch referee, and regular referee. What makes you can be a good referee, but not a good deathmatch referee? What makes a good deathmatch referee?
So the biggest thing. So I feel like my job in general is keeping the boys safe. You know what I mean? I want to make sure that everybody goes home safe the next day, and that we can all wake up and do this tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I feel like when it comes to deathmatch wrestling, that's just turned up. To 1,000. You know what I mean? Uh, and so as far as being a good deathmatch referee, just like we were talking about earlier, making sure the guys aren't bumping on anything that's gonna really hurt them or really mess them up. You know what I'm saying? And also too, I like to throw in my little flavor, and even though they don't have to, I still be like, hey, come on, guys, let's get out of the corner, and they'll be like, why? It's no you. I'm like, you're right, but can he just keep it a little clean? Like, so
do you really got to put the skewers in his forehead?
exactly. Like, come on, man. Like, hey, put that down. Like, keep it clean. All that. I'll still kind of add my little flair to it, but as far as like the difference, really, being a good referee, is there's a lot to that in itself, but then also being a good deathmatch referee is just, like I was saying, making sure that everybody goes home safe
Yeah,
as possible, because those boys and girls are gonna mess themselves up. You know what I mean? So
you try to limit the eliminate as much as you can.
exactly. Thank you. Yeah. Try and limit as much as the damage that they're gonna already do to themselves. So
What do
they,
you
they
consider is like too far in deathmatch? Like,
they just popped
is
up with a picture. This is one of my favorite pictures. Sorry, my bad to cut you off real quick.
no, you're good.
Because are you still frozen?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So they just popped up with a picture of me and Mama Maria from Prince of the Death Match. So
Yeah.
you back?
Um, what what do you consider goes too far? Like, weapon wise, what's too far in deathmatch? Is there a limit? Obviously, like guns, but like scissors or
Uh, I yeah. So my limits, as far as stuff that I'll shut down and I'll start snatching off and stuff. Uh,
yeah,
the little tubes, um, the smaller tubes,
the T8s.
ones that almost killed Nick Gage.
Yeah,
I don't mess with those. If I see those, I'll throw them. Yeah. Crystal Tuttle said, "Come on, guys, get back in the." Yeah, that's my go-to. Yeah, indeed. But yeah, I will. Uh, those little tubes is definitely one. And there's one I don't see it hardly ever. But guys talk about it all the time. Neil Diamond Cutter, uh, cheap plug for my homie Struggles, the Spotlight series. He was on the Spotlight series this past week, and he brought it up on that podcast too. I don't hardly ever see it, but if I do, I would probably shut it down. Is pencils. Pondo talks about that all the time.
yeah,
Pencil bump, and it's one of the worst decisions he ever made. And so because Pondo is one of my wrestling dads. I will not let anybody do that bump. So
I've heard horror stories about toothpicks, so anytime I see toothpicks, I cringe.
yeah,
Skewers don't bother me as much. Toothpicks scare me.
toothpicks suck because they get in you and then they splinter up, and so
Yeah.
it's little bitty splinters that you got to pull out of you if it gets deep, and sometimes they'll get deep infected. So hold on. Oh wait, I didn't get to read what Gary had just said. My bad. Pop that back up, please. Fuck pencils. No. Oh, that was Brian. Big B said ref is the third worker in the ring. His job is to get the match over to something you get. A lot of refs don't. Thank you, B. I appreciate that, man. Yeah. I that's one of the things I pride myself in. So and Quill.
Your expressions in the match are the best. I scroll through pictures when I'm editing and I get some goofy photos of just you reacting to whatever is going on. I
Man,
sent you one the other day that was probably my favorite so far.
well, and you know what that's a credit to is one of my favorite referees, if not my favorite referee, is Charles Robinson. And Charles Robinson's reactions are the greatest. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
how he be reacting to different stuff and then bouncing all over the ring and stuff. He isn't over excessive. Like there's some refs, man, who will literally jump in the air, and I think that's a little bit extra. But but my favorite ref is Charles Robinson, and so that's why I do. And to be completely honest with you, man, a lot of those times the facials aren't. They aren't at work or whatever you want to
Yeah,
call
yeah,
it. Like
no.
those are real reactions. I'm over exaggerating it a little bit sometimes,
Yeah.
but those are real reactions because I'm like, whoa, he just kicked the shit out of So
Oh yeah. What?
yeah, I appreciate that, man. That's one of my things. I try to make sure that I have some good facials and that I'm so.
All right, man. We'll wrap it up. Here. You're gonna be at IWA Thursday and NHB Saturday.
Yes, sir. Yep. I got a big weekend this weekend. IWA Thursday. The main event, Tyler Matrix and Jake Chris. Shout out my guy, Jake Chris. And Tyler Matrix. I love both those guys. Tyler Matrix is a dude that I've got to take a couple different road trips with, man. And because he's from the same area as me here in Louisville. So that's the main. I can't even really think of anything else that's on that card off the top of my head. But then,
Oh, go ahead.
like you said, No Holds Barred and Pit Fighter this weekend. That's right. There's a graphic. Both those are going to be on IWTV.
God, that both of those cards are fucking
And
ridiculous for Saturday.
yeah, speaking of Neil Diamond Cutter, man, he Neil Diamond Cutter is taking on the main event from the last show. So, and that's
Yeah,
fire.
yeah.
He has John Wayne Murdoch on the day show, the Pit Fighter show, and then Shane Mercer on the No Holds Barred show. It's gonna be wild, man. Charles is dope. He's such a great guy. Charles Robinson, Charles is a big, somebody I look up to quite a bit. So
One thing, this is honestly just for me, but so you're a fan of OVW. Do you remember a guy named Jamin Olavencia?
I do, yeah. Jamin Olavencia was really good, dude.
Yeah, he was my favorite. If somebody asks me who's my favorite OVW wrestler is, it's Jamin, 100%.
Okay, yeah,
I
yeah.
just a lot of the people I talk to about OVW, not many people remember that guy.
Dude, Jamin was one of those guys for whatever reason. He just never really, made it outside of the OVW bubble. And I feel like he didn't
Crazy.
have a whole lot of chances or opportunities for whatever reason. I don't really know the guy, and I've never really been in the OVW bubble, so to speak.
No, yeah.
I've been fortunate, very fortunate to work for them before. And that was, like another moment in 2020 that I was like pinch myself because
Yeah.
me being
It's
a little
OVW.
Me being a Louisville kid, growing up in Louisville, and I'm getting a chance to work for OVW. Not only that, but I got Al Snow in my ear,
Yeah.
and need match directions and stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wild, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. But yeah, no, Jamin Olivencia, he was really good, man. Like, and I feel like he was a staple at OVW for a while.
Yeah, I loved him when he was a good guy, and hated him when he was a bad guy. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But there's a few guys like that, man, who are really, really good and who have been around OVW for a while and just really didn't get their chance. I would be remiss if I didn't shout out my guy, Mike Braddock, Michael Hayes, whatever you want to call him. He's one of my favorite people on the wrestling, in the wrestling business. And also too, the guy is a workhorse as far as matches and stuff. And he's also a paraplegic, from war over in Iraq or over in Afghanistan. And so he's an American hero in his own right. Like, and the fact that he goes out and were you around whenever he was doing IWA? He had bangers against like Aaron Williams and trying to think there was a few other bangers that he had, but like, man, Iron Mike was and still is the dude. And he's one of those guys who have been at OVW for years and years and just never really, got a chance to. I think he did Tough Enough and a couple other things, but that was really the only like shine that he got. And man, that guy, if given the right opportunity and the right light, could really be great. So shout out to Iron Mike.
Oh yeah. One other thing, I didn't know that Victor from the Ascension or on WWE was Pac from OVW. For the longest time, did not realize that those two were the same person.
Yeah, he was around OVW back whenever. Oh yeah, amputee. Sorry, I'm sorry. Thank you, Max. See, AJ's always keeping me in line, bro. AJ Kissinger, that's my big brother. He's an amputee. That's right. Wrong wording. But now, yeah, that was a time period that I really didn't follow OVW a whole lot because, but I did hear him talk about this on a podcast recently that I was listening to. He actually was at OVW and was contracted by WWE and was one of the last to be put at OVW as a contracted wrestler. And then he ended up getting moved from Louisville to Florida. Like he was part of that whole,
Florida Championship Wrestling.
Exactly. Yeah. He was part of that whole process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, man. Well, I'll let you go. Thanks for tuning in on my first interview, man. Sorry for the technical difficulties at first, but
this is your first one ever? Your first death hour?
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Hey, I'm glad that
I had to. Blake said something about doing it, and I was like, man, I have to get Sean P on here. It's the only one I want to do first.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that I could do that for you, man. I didn't know who it was going to be because I feel like I could have a great conversation with any three of you guys, whether it be Blake or Randy. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's cool, man. I'm glad I could be a part of your first one, man. That's cool.
All right, bub. All right, well, I'm just gonna close it out. If you want, you can go ahead and leave and stay in. I'm just gonna drop some dates for the other death hours. We got Shane Mercer March 2nd. We got Akira March 4th, and we got Deathmatch Worldwide March 9th. Also, we I think we're gonna have 3 or 4 members, admins of this page at AWR Saturday or Sunday, the 28th. So that's all. That's all the little plugs I have. So yeah.
Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you, bub. You stay safe. Have fun this weekend. Safe travels, bub.
Thank you, bro.
All you guys.
That's right. I hear that. I'm a freaky individual, don't
picked up quick on subliminals, body looking like a palace, and I just gotta get into ya. First I'm gonna kiss on ya, see how bad you want it, see who can go longer without tearing both our t-shirts off. Ooh, see I know what you like, and the way your body's moving, girl, you got me feeling right. See I know what you like, so baby lay your body down and let me take a bite. Hey, but first, hey, let me hear you guys. I'm taking your pain out.
Didn't bleed a drop.
For some dumb reason, you thought you could come for me.
Right here. Bitch, I'm from Kentucky, but this ain't no fucking Dixie chicks. This is not Route 66. She step out, take like 50 flicks. I'm way too selective with the folks that I get mixy with. She said that's a lie, boy, you a thot. Just left out the city, it was high. Think they fucking with me, but they not. I just cannot stop, I'm about to buy my bro a drop. She came to kick it with her friends, they taking shots. I'm a hot shot. Hey, met her at the club and I took her to the casa. Get bread non-stop, know my name, ring a bell like Raja. From the city like Rondo Rajan, but I'm from the white side like Hassan. Yo, way too fly, but I'm not trying. Ooh, had y'all's fun, but it's my time. Ooh, chain go bling, I ain't talking about hotline. Young and I got time, but I finally got one, it's about time. Make the whole city shine every time that I shine. Let me know now if you're not down, cause you left and you're not round. Need a Jew left in a hot brown, go ahead, let that top down. Bitch, I'm from Kentucky, but this ain't no fucking Dixie chicks. This is not Route 66. She step out, take like 50 flicks. I'm way too selective with the folks that I get mixy with. She said that's a lie, boy, you a thot. Just left out the city, it was high. Think they fucking with me, but they not. I just cannot stop, I'm about to buy my bro a drop. She came to kick it with her friends, they taking shots.
Yeah, white gold over my chrome heart, 10 been sloppy. I ain't got no card, I don't feel nothing for the.
Oh snap.
Oh,